All right, Shalom Israel, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemai Latan, Bahasham Yahweh Shai to all the sisters, priest and officer Matt Kwayak of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yahanna. And in this school, we teach the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? That the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and the native Indian man, we are all part of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. We are all blood, we are all family. You understand? We have all been in different captivities together, and the Bible holds our records, it holds our history, it holds who we are as a people. You understand? It holds our constitution, our culture. Before we get into tonight's class, right? Remember the school location is at light pole number 1, Morris Street in Point Fortin. Again, light pole number 1, Morris Street in Point Fortin. That is close to the WASA station. You understand? When you turn in the WASA office, sorry. When you turn in, you go by the WASA office, look at the second building to your left. You will see the big sign on top, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Commanding General Yahanna have been opening schools throughout this earth, throughout this planet Earth. You understand? Whereby black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indian people could have a place where they could gather as family and learn their culture, learn their history, learn their ways and their laws according to the Bible. You understand? Again, the Bible have nothing to do with religion. You understand? Religion was man-made and they have their own agenda. But this book called the Bible is only for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. When we go inside that book, we're going to see all the other races, or what we will say, because races means nation in the Bible, right? You're going to see all these other nations in the Bible as well too, with their biblical names. So now we could contrast the biblical names with who they are today, right? And you're going to see the atrocities that was done to our people, which is black people, Hispanics, and Native Indians back then, straight up to today. And you will be able to see it's still happening to our people at the hands of these other nations or these other races. You understand? So these school doors, they are open 24/7. Even if he is not a part of the school, you understand, and they need understanding on different scriptures, they could call in, ask questions, you understand, tune into the live classes. There are officers above me and captains above me that will be glad, you understand, and willing and able to answer your questions where necessary. You understand? If you need to contact the officer above me, that is Officer Sowapia Allah, you can contact her at 479-8286. Again, 479-8286, because if you have any questions or want to learn more about the school, or even if you're from a different country or different area, you might want to know where the school located in that country or that area. He will be able to put you on to a brother that is in the school in that area, right? We have also, you can contact the captain above him, who's the captain over the school, Captain Mashak Mayam, at number 1202-701-4640. Again, number 1202-701-4640. You could call, drop a WhatsApp, you understand, leave your comments, and you will get the answers when necessary. You understand? Check us out on all social media platforms or pages. We have Instagram, we have WhatsApp, we have Twitter, we have YouTube. Check us out on all our social media platforms. You understand? To keep updated with things happening in and around the nation, in and around the school, right? Let me just answer that doorbell, right? So lock here.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Damn right, I'm a UPK nigga. Straight out of 1 West, no contest. We the best to the niggas that's living, trying to contend with the stress. Going through the test, no access, cause you oppressed slaves. Niggas is dying off in waves. Living in dirt, now it's a grave. Niggas cross-talk through the crosswalk or the white chalk over the bodies of roads that you paid. Americans killing us, saying they fearing us, put the drugs in the hood. Now my niggas delirious, put a gun in my face. All because of my race, click, boom, flash, put some Skittles and murder my ass. Like a sheep to the slaughter, heart beating harder and harder. Baptized with these words, never dipping in water. So now we pray to the Father. Give strength to the Father that's looking for the marauder. That's fucking taking our daughters, nigga. It's wartime. Lights up, nigga, showtime. Got the green light on that ass, yeah, go time. Either boot up, shut up, but get your ass up. Cause we ain't got time to be playing this all fucked up America. Heaven for the thief, hell for the slave. Reaping what you sow, meaning giving back what you gave for a clean slate. You try to imitate, you was always fake. America, every city, state, this is your fate. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, 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 to America.
On the timeline, giving the rhythm to expose the intricacies of the dance vibe. Doing my, I ain't shit, but getting lit is a pastime. So in a minute, I'ma pass out. I hope you get it. If you didn't, you can crash flying. Kinda simple if you feel it, past your last line. But it will confuse a bad mind. A damn shame. That's the exact thing. Don't get your ass fried. Bombs from the sky, rich devil lullaby. Then the nigga fly. Hope you got an alibi. Bombs from the sky, rich devil lullaby. Damn, the missiles high. I can see him from the parking lot. Living finna ball out. Devils finna fall out. All out warfare, nightmares in the big houses. They murdered us for years and thinking shit was gonna turn around. Pride never learned. This motherfucker burns down. Yelled in the streets. Told them to breach. All of you angels bring woe to this beast. You rule for a time, but we play for keeps. I pray to my Father, bring woe to this beast. Remember them times we hung on them trees. All of you nations bow down to your knees. Remember them ships, they brought us in fleets. Fuck they Apollo, bring them the heat. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, whoa, to America. Whoa, 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 to America. Whoa, 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 to America.
God is going to destroy this empire, man. You about to see famine in this place. You think them fires in California is bad? That's just the beginning of what the Lord is about to do. Because you've been evil to the Lord's people. You've been wicked to the Most High's children, man. You've been destructive to the 12 tribes of Israel. Let me tell you something, black man. You got to put on your strength now, man. Put back on your strength and might, black man, because you
All right, so we're going back again, right? We're going to continue from where we left off. The captain over the school, Captain Mashak Mayam, you can contact him at number 1202-701-4640. You understand? Again, you can check us out on social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You understand? To keep up to date with the things happening in and around the nation and, of course, in and around the school. You understand? We are in the Feast of Purim. Today is the closing of the Feast of Purim. You understand? It started yesterday, which was Monday, the 2nd of March, 2026. You understand? And it's closing off tonight. We're going to go over the story with our sister Esther and Mordecai. You understand? To understand what our people did for us and for our nation. These things are absolutely important for us to know and for us to understand. When we are in the Christian church or we hold on to religion, we will definitely not learn these things that is being taught here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We're not going to learn these things, you understand? We're going to learn something that is contrary to the Bible, contrary to what the Lord wants us as a people to do. Because we have things to do as a people. You understand? We have a nation to build. And building a nation does not intake us dancing and singing and jumping up and catching the so-called Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit. It entails that. It entails us as a people to work, to do things, to have discipline, to have order, to have structure, because these things is in the Bible. And we follow after the Bible. We follow after our forefathers. We follow after the things that Moses gave to us and to our nation, for our nation to run according to how the Most High wanted to run. You understand? And this day is not a high holy day. This day is a memorial. You understand? This day is a memorial day whereby we remember the victory of our family. You understand? Over our enemies, just like the Feast of Dedication. These things are memorial. You understand? And in all our high holy days or feast days, the memorial days, all these things are after something that happened to our nation. These things is not just because it's a feel-good time. You understand? It's something that we could remember. You understand? What we went through as a nation and as a people. And in these times, we as a nation, we as a people, we as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we definitely have to work together. You understand? We went in slavery together as a family. We came out and we're going to come out of this captivity as a family, as a nation, and we're going to come out together. You understand? This is what we have to understand, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So we're going to go into the story or the history with Esther. You understand? Understand what our sister did for our nation. Understand what our brother did also with our nation. And to learn a song, that's how I'm going to put it, to learn a song or to learn a dance. You understand? Mentally, to understand how we as a people should deal with the other nations. The Lord said that vengeance is his. We are not to pick up, you understand, weapons and go and blaze on the other nations just like that. You understand? That don't mean that our nation will defend itself, that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will defend itself. You understand? Also, too, we're going to see whereby our people, the tactics that our people use against one another. And you're going to see whereby our sister used that against the heathen. You understand? And this is what we have to understand. These things are for the heathen, so-called Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Not for your brother to try to trip him up or cut him down. You understand? Because that goes to show that the spirit that you carry, will definitely not be the spirit of this nation. You understand? It's going to be the spirit of another nation, someone that you are learning after, someone that you are fashioning after. You understand? And some of us, without the knowledge of the truth, without the knowledge of who we are as a people, we take pride in following and fashioning after these things. You understand? To trip up or to slow down or to make our brothers or sisters, you understand, put their lives in danger, whatsoever the case might be. But once we understand this song, or once we understand this dance, so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man, you understand, you're going to see whereby this nation is going to be a beautiful nation. And no matter what ism or schism these other nations practice among us, you're going to see how it's going to fail. You understand? Because we as a people, when these other nations come up against us, we go to the Most High and we pray. You understand? We go to the Most High, we fast. You understand? Put on sackcloth. We pray to the Most High, and the Most High always deliver the nation of Israel. You understand? Once we return to him. It's all throughout the Bible. And in this captivity where we are as a nation and as a people, we are going to be delivered, you understand, from the hands of our enemies. But we have to return to what the Lord gave us. You understand? This is the key. This is the compass. This is the guide. You understand? We have to rid ourselves of whatsoever might be in us. You understand? As a people and as a nation, we have to stop following the devices of these other nations and stop practicing it amongst our people in order for our people to change. You understand? If we want our people to change, we have to stop. Just as Christ was saying, you understand? We as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, before we start ponging on another brother, ponging on another sister, you understand, we had to watch the mote that is in our eye before we cast out the beam that is in our brother's eyes. Just paraphrasing. We had to watch what we're doing first. You understand? And if what we are doing is not right, there's no way we could go and tell another brother, hey, you have to do right. You understand? We might hear all kind of stories and all kind of this and all kind of that about a brother, about a sister, but the Lord gave us one thing to do. You understand? Which is to go to your brother. You understand? You find yourself talking about a brother or talking about a sister over and over about a particular topic or an incident or something. The Lord gave you charge to do something. And if you don't do that, you understand, you're not removing the mote that is in your eye, so-called Black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. These are the things that we have to know, and these are the things that we have to understand. You understand? And once we could implement that, especially in the areas whereby Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians lack the knowledge of the Bible, we're going to see these areas change, because no more would we be going off a he say, they say, and she say. And that is something that Christ tried his best to eliminate. You understand? Not tried his best, but eliminated by us going through this process. You understand? And once we follow, just as I think it's Peter or Paul say, follow me, even as I follow Christ. You understand? If we follow these principles, we're going to see changes in ourselves, in our nation, and in our people. You understand? But if we don't, just as the religious leaders and politicians and them do, they don't want to see change in Black communities. You understand? Because they might have a vengeance with the community leader. You understand? Or who might be elected in government. They might have a problem with that. because they might find they're not fit enough to run that government or run that institution or whatever the case might be. That is what they find. You understand? But if you learn this song in the Bible, if you learn this dance, you will understand. It doesn't matter who in elected or who in power. What you have to do, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, is to do what the Lord says and what is right in his eyes. And then all the pieces is going to come together. You understand? And no longer we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will have to be running in the Christian church, running in the Muslim mosque, or watching our brothers being gunned down in the streets. You understand? Or selling drugs to one another. We think our actions and our behavior is just going to affect us or the person we doing it to. But we don't understand that it could have a rippling effect because there's other brothers and sisters that will be watching it. You understand? And if that brother mine or sister mine is weak, then they know it's going to take that same thing and start practicing it among their peers, among their family. And then we're going to have a ripple effect whereby we're asking ourselves, well, what's going on with black people? Like black people curse. You understand? But then we have to realize, hey, see me, it's time for me to get myself right. Despite whatever might happen, it's time for me to do it. You understand? And once that happens, just like it was done, you understand, coming down through slavery, now blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have a chance. We have a shot at the Bible. We have a chance at returning to Christ. We have a chance at returning to our family, our brothers, you understand, our sisters, and give them what we learned so that they too could change themselves. They too could change the way that they're living, could stop smoking weed, could come off a crack cocaine, could come off the stripper pole. You understand? We can't see far down there because it feels good doing what we do. We can't see far down there. You understand? Because what we're doing is how I should put it, a high for the moment, feeling good, because that you deserve that. You understand? But so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we gotta wake up. We gotta wake up, you understand, and analyze, as the scriptures say, examine ourselves daily. Why we examine ourselves daily, as the scriptures say, to see whether we're in the faith, to see whether we're doing the things that the Lord requires for us to do as a people. If it could, Baba Kusha, Officer Tazo, give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. We go start off with that, and then we're going to go into the book of Esther, whereby Officer Swapial, I think he was reading from verse 9 last night. I don't know, I can't remember if he went through because I came into the class late, but nevertheless, we're going to hit it over from chapter 1, and we're going to get the story going right up. You understand? To chapter 10. You understand? We're going to take the time, we will cut it through. You understand? And at the end of it, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will understand why we as a people, we keep this memorial. Again, it's not a feast day, it's not a high holy day. You understand? It's not a high holy day, but rather a memorial day for our people and for our nation. You understand? And that was set since within this time. You understand? But give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, and verse 6, Baba Kusha. We'll start at that, and then you go to the book of Esther. So that if you could grab the mic, Baba Kusha. Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know if it's on. I will let you know what charge, if the charge drop, or whatever the case might be. Seems to work right.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Press at the bottom, let me see. Right, good.
All right, what? For thou art an holy people unto the Most High thy power.
So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. The Lord is telling us we are a holy people, a separate people. How could we be behaving like these other nations and be holy? How could we be behaving like these other nations and be separate? We're not going to be holy. We're not going to be separate as a nation because we fail or we reduce ourselves to their nature, to their structure. You understand? But the Lord telling us that we are holy. The Lord telling us that we are separate. So whatever tricks and games, you understand, whatsoever philosophies and doctrines, whatsoever things these other nations do for their survival, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we have to reject that. You understand? We have to reject that and do what the Lord tells us to do in order for us to be separate, in order for us to be holy. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
The Most High thy power had chosen thee.
Again, Baba Kusha, let me get the flow.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people.
Lord saying, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we are holy. Holy means separate. You understand? But that's in the Hebrew, to be set apart. We are set apart from all these other nations, from all these other people. We are separate to the Lord. Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people unto the Most High thy power. The Most High thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
The Lord hath chosen you, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, to be special, a special people unto himself. You understand? The Most High separates you. He chose you to be a special people. And this is the important part here. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
What the Lord wants us to be?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. The Lord wants us to be above all people that are upon the face of the earth. You understand? So the spots where these other nations are, the Lord wants us to be above them. The spot that the oppressor is holding right now, which is rulership over the planet, as the scripture says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. We will be holding that spot, not the wicked spot, but we will be ruling the earth in righteousness. You understand? The Lord says He wants us to be above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. And if we continue in our ways, if we continue in our discipline, you know what I mean? If we continue not to rid ourselves of the little spirits that might be troubling us, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we're going to continue in our way. We wouldn't be that separate nation. We wouldn't be that separate people. You understand that the Lord wants us to be. The Lord tells us in the scriptures, whatsoever a man sow, that is what he will reap. We don't see the rewards of what we are sowing. So we continue doing it. That is why we have our brothers continually into drugs, continually into homosexuality, continually doing all these atrocious things that is against the Most High, because we don't see the rewards yet. But what we don't understand, just as a farmer might plant a seed, you understand, in the month of January, for example, a sorrel seed, and that sorrel seed goes till December or November, then he will see that reward. You understand? But we might look at ourselves as, you know, we could keep doing it over and over again and not realizing so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man is terminating. You understand? Just as the Lord said, just as the Lord told us about the seed of bitterness. All these things is what we have to understand. We as black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, just as it just there, the Lord told us that He wants us as a people, He wants us as a nation to be separate. We have to be separate to all these other nations. We have to be holy to the Most High. The Lord wants us as black, Hispanic, and Native Indians to be above all people that are on the face of the earth. You understand? So then what does that tell you, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man? Now we have to figure out, now we have to find out, now we have to search out what is required of thee for us to be above all nations upon the face of the earth. You understand? And from the time we figure out that, from the time we understand that, what we have to do, start applying these things as best as we could. As best as we could start applying these things, and we're going to see our nation and our people move from stage to stage. You understand? Yeah, Officer Yakat, Shalom, you have some shy bracket there. Move from stage to stage. We're going to see our people come out from in the ghettos. We're going to see our people come out from in the barrios and the reservations and all these different places. You understand? But we must, as black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, return to the Lord. We must return to the things that is required for us as a people and as a nation to do. If we don't do that, we're going to continually see our people at the bottom because we curse, we're in slavery. You understand? We under servitude to these other nations. You understand? And we at one point in time lack the knowledge of knowing who we are. We at one point in time didn't understand why we are in this condition. Why our brothers and sisters in this condition? Why they're pulling up the jailhouse? Why they're on the stripper pole? You understand? Why we have all these young ladies dressing the way that they dress? Why women not obeying their husbands? You understand? We was once in that position asking these questions, and the Lord gave us the opportunity to understand, hey, this is the reason why. Through the ISUPK under commanding General Hannah, which was established since 1969. You understand? We was given the opportunity. So now as we was given that opportunity, and we start learning these things, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, it's time for us to do. It's time for us to do, and when we do, now we could pass it on to another brother or another sister and see this place change in the way that the Lord wanted to be. You understand? So let me go at the book of Esther, chapter 1, Baba Kusha. Officer tells you, you can give Officer your card at Baba Kusha, the mic. And you can take a few, you can just split it wrong now, Officer your card, right? No. We'll start at Esther, chapter 1, verse 1 to 4. We will kind of jump around. When I say jump around, kind of skip through, so we'll get the understanding of why we as a people, we as a nation, you understand, keep this Memorial Day.
The book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Cyrus, this is Cyrus, which reigned from India unto Ethiopia, over 172 provinces.
You understand? So this is King Cyrus. You understand? He reigned over India unto Ethiopia. He reigned over 172 provinces. You understand? So we understand that this is a king. This is a king with power. This is a king with might. This is a king with military, with money. You understand? You know, we have a saying, you know what I mean? How we just say, don't worry, wait till I get my money right. Nah, we ain't ready yet. As well as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians might have a few couple success stories. We as a nation, we are still at the bottom. You understand? We are, as a nation, we are still wanting our king to return. You understand? For us to be that powerful nation, for us to be bigger than King Cyrus. You understand? For us not to reign over 172 provinces. You understand? Not for that, but for us to reign over the planet. You understand? And rule over these other nations because they have ruled over us for generations. Some of our parents and foreparents before us, our friends, you understand, our family, they never even get to smell the truth. They never even get to hear the truth. You understand? Because our nation is so much at the bottom. We keep following these other nations for generation after generation. We keep following up the Christian church, the Muslim mosque. Our nation, we have no might, we have no power, just like Moses prophesied that would happen to us in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. You understand? So now we're reading about King Cyrus and seeing this king reign over 107 and 20 provinces. You understand? So like about 107 to 127. You understand? That is like you're watching Donald Trump and he could go anywhere and bust any shot in any place because he's ruling over it. That is like somebody ruling Trinidad, Venezuela, Colombia, a couple of these countries with their different parishes in it. You understand? This is somebody who have that power. Give me verse 2, Baba Kusha.
Verse 2. That in those days when the king Cyrus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace,
Go ahead.
in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media.
So he made in the 3rd year of his reign, you understand, he made a feast. He made a feast unto his princes, his servants, you understand, the power of Persia and Media. You understand, that is like the rulers of these places. He made a feast unto them. Go ahead.
And the princes before him, verse 4, when he shewed
the nobles and the princes of the provinces before him, being before him. You understand? So all these provinces that he rule over, he keep a feast. You understand? For the mighty men, the low, the high, soldiers, everybody. Go ahead. Verse 4.
Verse 4. When he shewed the riches of his glory.
When you do what?
Sorry, when he shewed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 180 days.
You understand? So he showed all the riches, glorious kingdom. You understand? And this is a heathen doing this, showing his power and his might, gloriousness. So imagine the things that he's showing off. It's like, we bring it back today. Let me say, for example, but everybody know the power of America with their military might and their structure. You understand? We go watch China. You understand? Different technologies, warheads, so much bombers that have planes. We're just looking at that. What else could we think about with these other nations? You understand? What else we could we think about Cyrus and his kingdom? You understand? With his structures and government and things that he have set in place for his people. You understand? He showed off all these things. Jump to verse 9, Baba Kusha.
Verse 9. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus.
So why is he keeping his session? You understand, with the noblemen, the princes, the kings, his wife Vashti, she also made a feast. You understand? To the woman in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. You understand? So she was doing her own thing also. Go ahead to verse 11.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal.
Salakia. I'm sorry. Continue to verse 10 and then 11.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehaman, Bitsar, Habanam, Bigthar, Abagatha, Zethar, and Kakas, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
You understand? So you get these 7 chamberlains, you understand? The men that serving with him, get these men and them in rank order, because they're going to see when we go in later on, whereby even the heathens understand that. Even the heathens understood, you understand, how to set up their government. I believe even the time when Moses' father-in-law structured it, but I'll ask back the captain concerning that. You understand? I think Moses' father-in-law was a heathen, if I'm correct. You understand? That he had to show Moses how to take certain loads and certain burdens off him. You understand? How to structure captains and men of 50s, men of officers of 500 and going down the road. This is how you start organizing and structuring your government, organizing and structuring your people, your nation. You understand? Because you is the king, you is the man that have things or will make things run. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Okay. Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king, the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
You understand? So he sent his men to get Vashti the king. You understand? To show her why? Before the people, to show her beauty. You understand? Goes to show how beautiful Vashti was. And he wanted to show her before the people because she was fair, she was good looking, she was somebody good to look upon. You understand? Some people might say, when they come into the truth, yeah, these other nations, all them women and them ugly. But when you read the Bible, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, you'll understand that there are women in other nations that will make kings fall to their knees. But we as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have to do what? Separate ourselves. The Lord tells us to do what? Be separate, be holy. The Lord tells us not to marry into these other nations, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Okay. Verse 12. But the queen, Vashti, refused to come at the king's commandment.
You understand? So Vashti refused to come according to the king's commandment. Remember that the king, thy wife. You understand? So that goes to show that the wife didn't even want to listen to the king over the 127 provinces. You understand? And we're going to learn something as we go in lower down, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Continue, Baba Kusha.
By his chamberlains, therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
You understand? So the king set a course. Because you calling for your wife, you telling your wife move. You understand? Or do this or come. She don't want to do that. She want to do her own thing. You understand? Remember, you is king. You seen that happening, you know now. You will start a solo. You understand? It goes to show how men should raise women also. It goes to show that young brothers that have wives, you understand? How that woman or how that wife should be raised, or wives should be raised. You understand? We're going to learn a lot so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man just from the story. And this, I don't like to say this story, but this history, this memory, this memorial. You understand? And this is something that we as a people should always hold close to our heart, because not only are we going to learn about women, you understand, and how a woman should operate, how she should function, how she should think. You understand? But you're also going to learn about being loyal. You understand? Having integrity. You're also going to learn how blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians should band themselves together. You understand? According to how the structure is of the king. You understand? You're also going to learn how you're dealing with heathens. So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. You're also going to learn and laugh at why our enemies they in purple. You understand? You seen your mighty brothers, you understand, holding down palaces with kings, you understand, busting certain shot. You still go and pour on that color, purple and gold. You understand? Continue, Baba Kusha.
Verse 13. Then the king said,
jump to verse 16.
Verse 16.
Yeah, officer, shut me, but some check back that. See, there, my mind, my mind is different minute now. Yeah, officer, you can select here.
And Mamukan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen had not done wrong. Salakia. Vashti the queen had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus.
You understand? So Mamukan is saying, Vashti just only do wrong to you. Who's the king? Your wife. What your wife did, she just do something wrong to you? Or what about all the other sisters in the kingdom? What about all the other young ladies, the children that are looking up? What about the people in all these provinces? Because you say, and to all the people that are in the provinces of King Ahasuerus. Because why? This is going to spread. Everybody is going to say, you understand? Look what Vashti the king, what Vashti did to the king. You understand? So now, for example, when we have the oppression pushing things like with all of Sasha they say about Atlanta housewives, basketball wives, and all these different things, where they show women how to be rebellious to men, and they show men to be so weak. You understand? Then our young sisters and our children, our teenage girls who go in to secondary school, they're going to do exactly as they see. You understand? It makes me remember time I coming on you. I think it was when it is Tuesday, Monday, or Friday. You understand? As soon as I reach the junction by me, two secondary school people looking like they no longer like they know longer than in Form 1. You understand? Them looking to hug up and kiss on the junction. I say, hey, well, let's stop that. You understand? And he runs so and she runs so, two different schools. But what's showing is the mind of the teenagers already sexualized. You understand? And sometimes we have to look at the parents having to go to work 3 and 4 in the morning, leaving to go to work and coming back at night. You understand? How fathers going outside there and plow hard to come back in to provide for the family because we don't understand that we're under slavery, we're under oppression from these other nations. Some people might look at that and want to record it and put it up on social media for fun and for kicks. You understand? Because we as a people, we lack the understanding of who we are. We lack the understanding of our nation. So we might look at these things and feel it's fun and feel it's games. But then if you look at the generation of old, you understand that made mistakes, then you're going to see a next generation is going to rise again doing the same thing. And we as Black people, Hispanics and Native Indians, we have to have that compassion to understand, hey, it had to stop. And how could it stop? It had to stop not by the Christian church or the Muslim mosque, it had to stop by the people that the Most High gave the chance to understand the truth according to the Bible. That is why the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we are on the street corners every weekend, every Saturday. You understand? That is why we're teaching class Monday to Friday. That is why we're on radio shows and food programs and visiting the prisons. You understand? And going in different communities and doing as much as we could until more of our brothers and sisters are awoken. You understand? Into their culture, into their structure. Picture black people ruling the earth. You won't be seeing things like that because now you understand it had dowry. Now you understand. First, you understand you're too young for that. Stop that shit. You understand? Then when you reach the age realizing it had dowry, you have to go before fathers. That's some of us men. We don't want to do that. Not in the school yet. You understand? But we don't want to go before fathers and sit down and negotiate for daughters and these different things because it's too much. We might find it's too much. You understand? But what if we really take up that challenge and try to do it? Go before our father and daughter. You see a young girl, she like you, you like she, and they go before the parents. You understand? And show the parents, hey, all right, XYZ, there's the plan, there's the structure, there's what I have, there's what going on. You understand? I don't know, I just saying. What if? That is why in the school here we say new women coming into the school, brothers and sisters, they are off limit for how much? 6 months. They are to be saluted only. That is why I have these rules. Now, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, they start learning the song. They start learning the dance. They start learning their culture. They start learning how your nation move and how it operate. You understand? But in the Christian church, from the time they see your money in your pocket, yeah, you, marry this one, yeah, marry that one. They don't even understand what marriage is. But it's just movements according to law. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha. But we are
verse 17.
yeah, verse 17 to all for that. Yeah, go ahead again. 17 to 19, we're going down from 17 to 19. But take it from the top again, 17, Baba Kusha.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
You understand? So what is saying, what Vashti did? Then when that go abroad to all women, they're going to start to do what? Despise their husband. You understand? They're going to start to do what Vashti did to their husband. Now we have or we just say, you know, we have more women in the house. Go control over the mouth. Your husband tell you do this, you're doing what you want. You do that, you're doing what you want. You understand? You want to govern the house now. Have no structure and no order. You understand? And this memorial, this day, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man is even showing our women, our young women, how they should have that order and that structure in the house. The man is the head of the house. He is king. He's in charge. You understand? Don't do like these other nations, what we see or what we do. You come into the school, you come into the truth, you start learning according to your culture. You just need to apply. That is all. You just need to apply so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, what you didn't know. Because before the truth, you didn't know that you had to do things according to how the husband laid down in the house. That don't mean you don't have a word or you don't have a voice. You understand? Because we're going to see whereby even Mordecai himself had to function according to how Esther laid out the commandment. And then the scene whereby Esther followed according to Mordecai. So now you're learning, hey, just as I was saying before, that dance, that flow, that mode of operation. You understand? You see the modus operandi. Now you're going to learn that so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Now you can sit down and talk to different women on different things. You understand? Get them to move, get them to operate. Now they can show you certain things and you go, know, all right, I'm going to double check that before I move on it. You understand? Sometimes when they tell you, you know within your own self, yes, right. And you go and execute it accordingly. That is how we're supposed to be functioning. But again, with the lack of knowledge, with the lack of understanding, as the Lord said, my people are destroyed by lack of knowledge. With the lack of that, can't function. You understand? We can't operate broken homes. You understand? Continue, Baba Kusha.
Verse 18, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
You understand? So they're saying, all the princes, they're going to hear that. And then, what will happen? Rebelliousness. Continue, Baba Kusha.
Verse 19, if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
You understand? So what they're saying here, in a nutshell. In a nutshell, what they're saying, all where Vashti had, give to somebody else. Don't let she come before you again. You understand? I'll be the still in the local triangle. You understand? Remember that is heathen. That is not Israelite culture. Israelite culture, why people like that? You have to deal with that. That is a wife. You can't put she away. You understand? But the heathen culture is get rid of she. You understand? And we go find somebody else to put in she place. That is how they operate and they function. That is why the Lord made us holy and the Lord made us separate. we have to separate ourselves from the way how these other nations operate. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 20.
Mhm.
And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Go ahead.
Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Mukam.
You understand? So when the decree passed, to make it published, you understand? They're saying that the decree will be saying that all wives should give to their husbands honor. You understand? Both great and small, because of course of the thing that Vashti did. Because of the things that Vashti did. You understand? So this decree now was to bring back or restore order. You understand? In the kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 22. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house.
Every man should do what?
Bear rule in his own house.
And even the heathens understand that so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian. We have our order and our structure in our nation, in our kingdom. Even the heathens know that every man, according to their way, should bear rule in their house. You understand? So which means the thing that Vashti did, that was absolutely cruel. But go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And that it should be published according to the language of every people.
You understand? And it should be published according to the language of every people. Give me Esther chapter 2 and verse 2. You see if you could go up a little bit, speed down a little bit. You can pass only mic accordingly and depending on how you read it. We go to Esther chapter 2 and verse 2. We're going from 2 to 9.
The book of 9?
Yeah, 2 to 9.
The book of Esther chapter 2 and verse 1.
No, from 2 to 9.
Verse 2.
Yeah.
Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan.
Understand? So they want to gather all the fair young ladies in Shushan. Go ahead.
The palace, to the house of the woman, unto the custody of Hegai, king's chamberlain, keeper of the woman, and let their things for purification be given them.
You understand? So it was to gather all the young women, because now they're sorting out a new wife. You understand? For King Assyrius, because now they're saying, hey, I get rid of Vashti. Look for Vashti, we're going to get a new wife here, right? Go ahead. Going straight down to verse 9.
Okay. Verse 4, and the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
You understand? So this new young maid is going to be queen. You understand? So the king approve of it. Go out, look for the young woman, give them the things according to the purification, and that young woman, you understand, is going to be queen. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamin,
Go ahead.
who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away in Judea, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
You understand? So we've seen whereby Mordecai was one who was carried away into captivity. Go ahead.
And he had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when his father and mother were dead, took her for his own daughter.
And this is something very serious that we have to look at. You understand? Now we see whereby Mordecai brought up his uncle's daughter. You understand? What will be what? His cousin. and you took your cousin and treat your cousin or deal with your cousin like your own sister. This is the culture of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? Whereby we will look after family as family. And when I say family as family, let me break it down like how we will look at family in our way, whereby we have first cousins, second cousins, cousins. You understand? We look at our people, our nation, our bloodline as family. So we will treat each other like that. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha. Go ahead, Officer. So,
That's the reference to that point, right? And again, Mordecai demonstrating that father figure, right? I want to use a perfect example today, right? Commanding General Yana, right? And why I'm saying this?
Absolutely correct.
Because now everything right in his spirit, and he raised brothers and sisters actually, in this truth.
Right.
When everybody left them, their household, they lose families,
right.
And he raised these brothers up, these sisters up, and even us being an example, being raised up under the watchful eye of a righteous black man.
Right.
So this example, as I say, this is nothing that it shouldn't be taken light, and it's very important, again, especially reading this story, right, in our recorded history. It's very important.
Yes. So what I that say, and you're absolutely correct, because there's a lot of sisters that are rightfully saying that we will say that is commanded generally and a daughter. You understand? Because as they rightfully saying, they lose fathers, they may lose mothers. You understand? And now he taking them under his care, under his eyes. You understand? And raising them up like his own children, like his own daughters. And this is the stead, this is the stock that we as a nation and as a people is being raised up under. Because jump high or jump low, we might like it or not, coming whereby we will have to do the same thing. You understand? There's going to be a lot of sisters, you understand, without mothers and fathers, brothers same way too. And we have to take them on like this, that is actually our family, and raise them up right according to the scriptures. You understand? Not wanting to have families separated, not wanting to have mothers leaving daughters, wives leaving husbands, and these things. You understand? We actually have to put on that right spirit. You understand? And want to see families be together, want to see families stay together. You understand? Not separated. So you're absolutely correct what you're saying. You understand? And again, this memorial is a memorial whereby we should remember and always try to keep close to us. You understand? So when we see things like that, we could be able to draw reference and say, hey, what's happening? It's in our records. You understand? This actually happened. So you're absolutely correct. Word of Tayakat.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was brought unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him.
You understand? So out of all the young women they bring, the fairness, this, that, the young ones who captains and whatsoever went behind, when they bring Esther, they saying what? The maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness from him. Where Baba Kusha?
And he gave speedily.
And he do what?
And he speedily gave her things for purification.
And he speedily gave her things for purification, because when you see Esther, he was like, nah, let me move fast. You understand? He speedily gave her the things for her purification. Where Baba Kusha?
With such things as belonged to her, 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house.
You understand? So he gave her the things for her purification. 7 maidens. You understand which was good? You find what's good to give to her. Go ahead.
And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the woman.
You understand? And he gave them the blessed place for the house of what? The woman. You understand? So which means what? Even the women, they had their own quarter, their own section. give her the things for purification. You understand? We understand. You understand that women will be unclean and whatsoever the case might be. Remember, different oils, bath bombs, this, that. You make sure and organize she made them. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 10.
Go to verse 12.
Verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when every maiden's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus,
Mm-hmm.
after that she had been 12 months.
She had been what?
She had been 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
according to the manner of the woman.
Go ahead.
For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh.
6 months with what?
With oil of myrrh,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purification of women.
You understand? So King Ahasuerus make sure and treat Esther, you understand, like the queen she was becoming. Go ahead, Baba Kusha. To verse 17.
Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins.
So more than all the women that they gathered, Queen Esther, she get her favor in the sight of the king. King realized now, but see this one? I want this one. Go ahead.
So that he had set the royal crown upon her head,
Mm-hmm.
and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Esther now became queen in the kingdom of King Ahasuerus over Vashti. You understand? Now we're going to get into the interesting part and the mid part just now. Jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. Esther had not yet showed
She have not what?
Yet shewed
Mm-hmm.
her kindred, nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her.
So Mordecai charged her, hey, go show who he is, the lineage, your people. You understand? Those say he's a Jew. And when you look at today with our people, we like to brag of who he is. We love it to the other nations. You understand? Then you see now women, they be in advantage and this and that, because to these other nations, what we don't understand, we will always just be niggers. We will not be favored in the sight of these other nations. You understand? But Mordecai in his wisdom, you understand? Give Esther the instructions and she followed through with it. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai.
Did what?
Did the commandment of Mordecai.
Mm-hmm. She didn't do like what Vashti do, but followed what Mordecai said. Go ahead.
Like as when she was brought up with him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 21. In those days, while
roll back to that, roll back to verse 10 and 11.
Verse 10.
Same Esther 2 here.
Esther had not shewed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
You understand? So even when you go back up in the passage, you see the same thing. Mordecai makes sure and charge you. But that is the first time. Don't show your people, don't show your kindred. Go ahead to verse 11.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. And
Mordecai just keep checking up on she. You understand? Just like a good brother will do. You understand? Keep checking up on his sister to make sure, hey, everything to her, everything going according to what I tell it to. You understand? Jump down to verse 21.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate.
While Mordecai what?
Sat in the king's gate. Two of the king's chamberlains, Bigathan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
You understand? So in those days, you understand, while Mordecai sat at the king's gate, while Mordecai was on Shamar. You understand? So Mordecai was at Shamar at the heathen's gate, Ahasuerus. He was doing his job. You understand? At the heathen's gate. And while he was there, you understand? He heard two of the other people doing Shamar at the king's gate. You understand? That they was wroth at the king. So they was vexed with the king. Where Baba Kusha?
And the king was known, and the thing was known to Mordecai. whom told it unto Esther the queen.
So Mordecai understood that these men were brought to the king. Remember, that is a heathen king. Mordecai is a Jew. You understand? Mordecai knew that he have a duty, he have a responsibility to be Shema. You understand? For the king. So you bring it to whose notoriety? Read it again.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, whom told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
You understand? And Esther make it known to the king in Mordecai's name. You understand? So what that goes to show? Same thing like we was talking about before. We had to learn that dance. We had to learn that song. We had to learn how we deal with the other nations. That don't mean that you have to go and bow down and kiss the boots. You understand? But we have to be able to function according to our righteousness, according to our way, in these heathen empires, in these heathen establishments and in their ways. You understand? We don't have to bow and worship the feet. You understand? And sell out with brothers and with sisters because we feel, all right, they're making it. Nah. And that is where the politicians and, as the scripture say, the gates languish. That is where the leaders, they fail. Because once they reach up underneath these heathens or these other nations, they don't give a rat's for the people. They don't give a rat's about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And they can look back. You understand? From since you are able to understand politics or voting and see whereby these other nations, they didn't give a rat's till this day. See whereby our people, once they end up in these positions, they don't give a rat's about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians till this day. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Pusha.
Come on. Verse 23. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree.
You understand? And when they inquire about it, there's a king, you're going to inquire about it, they're going to get the best judges. You understand? Your best gatekeepers, your best watchmen, and do an inquiry. Going to go before the judge. And when they find out that it is true, they was both what?
They were both hanged on a tree.
Right.
And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
They was both hung on a tree and it was recorded. You understand? It was recorded of the thing that Mordecai did. It was recorded of the things that these two men wanted to do against the king. You understand? Go to Esther chapter 3, Baba Kusha. Start at verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
So after these things, Haman promote Ahasuerus promote Haman. You understand? So now he's like the right-hand man to the king. Go ahead.
And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not.
But Mordecai did what?
Bowed not, nor did him reverence.
You understand? Mordecai say, me bowing to you, you matter. You understand? Most of us, when we watch movies like the Hobbit and Game of Thrones, 300, we always want to be the action one, the ones who, you're on top. You understand? But when you watch, we call this man again like Xerxes, for example. You understand? Who they had to carry about in this chair right through? That was like Haman. You understand? And why we want to be the superstar, in it? When you're carrying around Xerxes and he come off the chair, you always just be walking on top of people's back. It always had people bowing to him. You understand? And he walking on the back. Because he chest pop up, he up there. You understand? This is how some of the men that rise close to the king operate. Remember Isaiah chapter 51, Bible Pusher. Remember Isaiah 51 and 23. This is how they operate. And now when you're watching back at leaders that is in power right now, You understand? And then watch out, our people being close to the king, being close to the people that over or watching governance over the country, over this place. We seeing and realizing that they're not going to watch back for black people. You understand? Some of the heathens that are close to them, they want us as black people to worship the feet in order for us to get something, in order for us to achieve or accomplish something. You understand? And we could bring it all the way down from that governance system, even into the school system, going right down. You understand? But there's a lot to learn from this story right here at Esther. Go ahead, Baba Kusha. Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 23.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 51 and verse 23. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down.
Which have said to what?
To thy soul.
Lord saying that he's going to put it in their hands, which afflict your soul, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. And what they say unto you?
Bow down, that we may go over.
Bow down, worship us, that we may go over, that we may trample over you, that we will walk upon you. This is how these heathen think. This is how they operate. This is how they function. You understand? And again, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, once we separate from these other nations, we're going to see their true intentions against us as a people and against us as a nation. We're going to see that. But if we don't separate, we're not going to see it. But this is in the nature of these nations from since way back. Continue, Baba Kusha.
And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over.
And we just bow. We just bow and watch these other nations trample over us. You understand? Walk all over us from captivity to captivity. You understand? Because of our whole mindset, just weak. Bow into these other nations. You understand? And coming to the truth and understanding the knowledge of the truth, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, we understand that these of our people, they just lack the understanding of who they are. They just lack biblical knowledge. You understand? But so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we see whereby these other nations was doing this from way back then. You understand? They wanted us to bow. They wanted us to bow to them. They wanted to afflict our souls. And afflicting your soul is just not, you know what I mean, random. It's from all type of psychological warfare and all things coming down the road. You understand? And on top of all that, they still want us as a people to bow. For they to walk upon us. You understand? But we as a nation, as a people, we have to return to the Lord. Continue from, back to Esther, continue from verse 6, Baba Kusha, Esther chapter 3 and verse 6. We have to return to the Lord, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. Just as the Lord told us in the book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourself together. Gather together, O nation not desired. So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. This is the key for us to separate from these other nations. Because when you go into the history of our people, when you go into the history of our nation, our culture, we were the people that were separate. And every time we reject the Most High, we continued and continually follow the ways of the other nations, and it can see it right down to today. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
The book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai.
You understand? So Haman thought scorn to do what? Lay hands on Mordecai. Go ahead.
To lay hands on Mordecai alone.
He just want to lay hands on Mordecai alone because he find that Mordecai airborne down tea. He find that Mordecai not being subjected to the things that he wants him to do. You understand? So he just want to what? Kill Mordecai. Go ahead.
For they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Mordecai sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout.
Haman and Mordecai.
All the Jews. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Assyrians.
You understand? So now they show Haman the people of Mordecai. So they show Haman, you understand? This is Mordecai's people. So then what started happening? Now Haman wants to kill all the Jews. You understand? That throughout the whole kingdom. Well,
Verse 7.
mm-hmm.
So like it. End of 6. Even the people of Mordecai.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan,
Mm-hmm.
in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus.
So now there's the 12th year of King Ahasuerus. When you read before, we were seeing, I think it's in the 3rd year you read. So still, from then till now, you understand? Haman want to kill Mordecai. Haman want to unalive all the Jews. You understand? The people around him. So what I'm telling him? That Haman waging war for a very long time. You understand? Haman decide, he ain't go stop. You understand? I'm going right down till they lie down. Go ahead.
In the first month, that
Mhm.
is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Purim, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day.
So they cast lots, you understand, from the first month of Nisan straight on to the 12th, casting lots. You understand? To see when they could get rid of Mordecai, when it's the best time to get rid of Mordecai. What I mean, planning. You understand? The rolling dice, boom. It's not the right time. Boom. Wait a little bit. Let me build up a little strength. Let me do this, let me do that. Well,
From day to day,
Mhm.
from month to month,
mm-hmm.
to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Go ahead.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad
Mm-hmm.
and dispersed among the people in all the provinces
Right.
of thy kingdom. Their laws, and their laws are diverse from all people.
Mm-hmm.
Neither keep they the king's law. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
You understand? So he's saying unto King Ahasuerus, there's a certain people scattered abroad, dispersed among all the people, and their laws are diverse from all people. So they understood, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that the rules, the laws, you understand, the constitution that we have as Jews, as being the true Jews of the Bible, it's separate. It's separate from all people. They understood that. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 9. If it please the king,
Mm-hmm.
let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge to do the business, in charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasury.
You understand? So he's saying, if it please the king, let it be written. You understand? Make a decree that they may be destroyed. And well, guess what? Haman saying he will pay. I will gather the money. You understand? And I will pay to see this through. And I think how much talent, I can't remember. I think it's about 1 million or maybe more than 1 million right now. I think we'll check it out. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And the king took his ring from his hand
Mm-hmm.
and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agite, the Jews' enemy.
You understand? He gave the ring to the Jews' enemy, which means he considered Haman to be yeah, but all right, we go rock it out. You understand? Go ahead.
And the king said unto Haman,
Mm-hmm.
the silver is given to thee. The people
Jump down to verse 13.
verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews.
You understand? So the letters was posted out, destroy, kill, and cause all Jews to be perished. You understand? So Haman make the king make that decree. Watch how much years Haman still fighting that war against Mordecai. Just because Mordecai decide, remember when on to you. Because Mordecai decide, I'm not going according to you. I'm not going according to your way. Haman want to kill him. And Haman sought to kill him for years. You understand? Haman even do what? Put people against him. Because Haman say, I will pay. I will pay. How much talents? You understand? For them to bring that in the king's treasury. And the decree go out. Go ahead.
And to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old.
All Jews, they don't care. Both old and young. Haman in business. Go ahead.
Little children and women.
Take food out of the mouth. In business, everybody had a debt because them Jews evil. Them Jews ain't right. Because the old ones to die, the young ones, you understand, with that letter, that decree, you take food from the mouth. You understand? And the people who even going out and carry letters in all the provinces, you understand, which we will call today, what do we call today by not henchmen, eh? Flying monkeys. You understand? They get all the flying monkeys to carry out the decree. To make sure that even the young ones die. Business, go ahead.
And in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
You understand? And to take the spoil of them for a prey. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and they should be ready against that day.
You understand? So a copy was published, that now they should be ready against that day. Give me Esther chapter 4. You understand? Because we're going right up to understand what Esther did and Mordecai did for our people. But we're going through so we could understand the memorial. We could understand why we keep this day. We could understand the atrocities of these other nations, because I believe Haman was an Edomite. Haman was a man from another nation. You understand? Because Mordecai didn't want to bow to him. You understand? Which shows the pride of these other nations, which shows the pride of the so-called white man. And when you look at it today, when our nation, you understand, our brothers, which might be the Hispanic brothers like the Venezuelans or the Haitians or the Colombians, when they don't want to bow to the oppressor, you understand? We see in whereby the oppressor down the region want them and want to make sure that they die, want to make sure that they suffer. Want to bust sanctions like rain. You understand? They want to stop the flow of finances. You understand? So they cut them off from financial support. They want to cut off the allies, so the people around them, they cut them off. You understand? When you look at Cuba, for example, Cuba getting oil from Venezuela. You understand? For them to keep the lights on. You know what the oppressor do? The oppressor makes sure and drill Venezuela so hard that Cuba now start to shake. Cuba start to get frightened. Cuba start to feel the pain because why? They ain't getting the oil from Venezuela. All because Cuba don't want to bow to the ways of the oppressor. You understand? So even when we go back in our records, we could rock back and we could see it now. But this book is a living book. This book real. This book right. This book true. This book actually showing you the history of what our people went through, and what we're going through today. You know, lie. You understand? And when you watch how Haman using the oppressors, like how Donald Trump will use Rubio and Dan Kane, and using them to different places strategically, you understand? To wage war. You understand? To upset living, to upset lives. You seeing whereby this oppressor playing this chess game or this chessboard clean. But we can't see it. Why we can't see it? Because we don't understand so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, that on this board, we are the chess pieces too. You understand? And on this chessboard, it have different pieces with different ranks, different portfolios, different financial situations. You understand? Different way of life, different living. We don't understand that. And we might be on this board and watching. Nah, I see king, or I see knight, or I see queen. You understand? And then realize in order for this war to win, sometimes the knight or the king have to get sacrificed. It might be a pawn. It might be at the lowest time. You know what I mean? Okay, but we had to go first, right? You understand? But sometimes we realize the position that we hold, we had to get sacrificed. And when I say we, I ain't talking about we in the truth, we're talking about this is how these other nations operate. So when they're sending out the people, you understand, in all these different countries to set up different play, you understand, to do different things, then realizing that they are just a sacrifice for the further development of the oppressor, his people, and his lineage. It's plain to see, it's easy to see. You understand? That is one of the reasons why the white man, you understand what the devil, the Bible speaks of, keep us what? Separate. Keeping us separate is absolute gold to him. This is what we don't understand. Keeping blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians separate is absolute gold to the oppressor. Why? Because now we can't talk to one another. So when we can't talk to one another, what was that to happen? We can't talk about the atrocities of the oppressor. You understand? Whereby we could come together and find a solution of what we should do. You understand? As a people, in order to escape this atrocity. And we don't understand the skill of the white man till this day. We don't understand how subtle. When the Lord said the oppressor is the most subtle beast in the field, we underestimating that. We underestimating that subtlety. You understand? But that oppressor, that spirit of the oppressor, brutal. Brutal. And the only way that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, even if we are separated by the wiles of the oppressor, by his way, by the way how he sees things, the only way we can escape that and come to serve the Lord is to return to what Moses gave us. Return to what our forefathers gave us. And sit down and read and understand, learn from the men above us. That will show us different scenarios. You understand? Different breakdowns. You understand? Now we have to choke off that Christian cloak because the Christian church don't already beat us in our head. And we don't understand. You understand? For all these years that the religious leaders pound us in our head, we don't understand the stain that was left on us by the religious leader, by the Christian church, by religion on a whole. You understand? That is why our brothers up in the northern side could hold on to our numbers, could hold on to our gang sign painted on our wall because we don't understand the propaganda that has been pushed on us daily. You understand? We don't understand the propaganda that has been pushed on us and our brothers, you understand, from these 12 tribes daily. We don't understand that. Even right down to our politicians be fighting over the color of a flag. That real suck. And when you're in it, you can't see it. You can't see it until they just decide you're going on. I don't. I'm gonna rock back from the outside and I'm gonna watch and really see what's going on. And if our people eject ourselves from voting, for example, something that have us tied up and not being able to see what these other nations doing to our own people and the people that rule over us in this country, we won't be able to see that unless we eject ourselves. Unless we return to the Lord and his way and stay right on that path, we're going to see everything that these other nations do. You understand? Give me the Esther chapter 4, Babusha. Esther chapter 4 and verse 1.
Esther chapter 4 and verse 1. When Mordecai perceived that all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and a bitter cry.
Understand? Because when Mordecai see what was happening, Mordecai and who would be here. You understand? Mordecai just hear someone run into it and realize, hey, nah. Mordecai understood, which means you have to do what? Examine. Go feel that Mordecai that and he perceive and he go out and tear his clothes. Nothing is right. That is Christianity. That is Christian church. Mordecai had to examine what was going on.
Yes.
That is the same thing that he did when the two men that was holding the king's gate. You understand? Wanted to kill the king. Go for you just back here and you just run with the king. Look, or Esther, look what's going on. You have to examine it. And even that goes to show that separates us from these other nations. Mordecai had to do the examination. You understand? When he realized that, nah, bro, people going on dead. Mordecai, when he closed, but bitterly, go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Esther chapter 4 and verse 2.
Yeah, go ahead, Sasha. Observe my question. If you could, Baba Kusha. Just give me a good time. Wine in this glass, please.
And came even before the king gate, for none might enter into the king's gate, clothed with sackcloth. Verse 3.
We'll kind of run too fast because we only have about half an hour left, right? So we'll try to see how best we can beat it out. Where of Sasha? You got to go.
And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews.
So in every province, picture, let's draw an example. Picture San Fernando here in boy, this decree against the Jews, point 14, great, see lots, move up. You understand? And that great cry come about because we understand it, boy. Now, boy, they're going on our life, they're going on take me out. Go ahead.
And fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
So we start to prepare because we understand the king not going to stop. We understand Haman not going to stop. He's going on. If it take years, he's going on come to kill us. No, you have to fast. You have to pray. You have to go on sackcloth. You understand? Go ahead. And ashes. There, what?
Verse 4. So Esther made, and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved.
So now when she hear about it, she and all get grieved. She's the queen. You understand? She's seeing what her people going through. Goes to even show the mindset of how our women should be in that have certain positions of power. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And she sent raiment to the clothed Mordecai, and to take away a sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
And Mordecai received that. Mordecai going down, praying, fasting, and wearing his sackcloth. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then called Esther for Hattash, one of the king's chamberlain, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai.
He called one of the king's chamberlains and give him something to tell Mordecai. Give him a what? A commandment. Go ahead.
To know what it was and why it was. So Hattash went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him.
So Hattash come, talk to Mordecai, tell him what Queen Esther said, then Mordecai talk to him, go ahead.
And of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasury for the Jews to destroy them.
You understand? So we tell him about the amount of money that Haman going to pay. And again, when we watch up the talents, we're going to see whereby it's a great sum of money. That is why you come and tell him, hey, this man, gather any dust. This man is going to take all you out. You understand? With a great sum of money, which means he had a power, he had a mind. He's going to do whatever it takes to take all you out. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Also he gave him the copy of the writing.
Give him what?
Also he gave him the copy of the writing.
Give him what? Proof. He just listen and run what we say. You understand? He even gave him proof, which is a copy of the writing. Go ahead.
Of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them,
Go ahead.
to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her.
You understand? So we give a copy of it to Esther. To show Esther, hey, look what happening. Look what's going to happen to our people. Look what's going to happen to me and my people because I refuse to bow to our oppressor. Because I refuse to obey his ways. You understand? Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
And to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make a supplication unto him.
Go ahead.
And to make a request before him.
You understand? So
for her people.
To go before the king, make a supplication, go and talk to the king to find out or to tell him, hey, what could be done for this not to happen to our people. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 9, and Haash came and told Esther the words of Mordecai.
You come back, tell Esther the things that Mordecai say, go ahead.
Verse 10, and again Esther spake unto Hatash and gave him commandments unto Mordecai.
What she give him?
Commandments unto Mordecai.
You understand? It's carried from Mordecai. Go ahead and realizing Hatak doing exactly as they say. Hatak holding that discipline and going between the queen and Mordecai. Telling Mordecai exactly what the queen wants and Mordecai, and he's telling the queen exactly what Mordecai wants. You understand? Goes to show discipline. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 11, all the king's servants and the people of the king province do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law.
There's what?
There is one law of his to put him to death.
Understand? So once they call into the king inner court, yes, we put to death. You understand how we could break that down today? Once they have an appointment to meet the king and they're going in on the king, you go dead. You go die. Where Bible Bishop says.
As I said, bring them down and now you got to say, understand discipline. Because this discipline didn't come just because they follow the order.
Right.
And guide the information that because you understand something.
Right.
2 men plot to kill the king.
Okay.
So any false, information, relay or whatever, is like example already set.
Right.
So anybody who is in that position with the king, if that any would come before the king, and or your life not balance. No,
right.
when you given peace to be, let me say, any false accusation,
right?
Any wrong use,
right?
So that way everything that you're bringing out was direct.
Correct.
Direct. So again, it the truth. So even though being, let me say, attacked, whatever, being given charge,
right?
Being somebody from their nation, he was just calling on.
Right.
Calling on that. That's like any servant would do. In order.
And one thing you say what was important there as well too is that you understand, even in following the order, he knew that if he do something wrong, or he bring a wrong accusation or a wrong report, he could be put to death. You understand? So even in that, following the order, and you actually go and say, I did, like all the number of people, just for example, you know you could be put to death. You understand? And now you go in accordingly to how the queen, remember that is the queen, understand? And remember what happened to the queen people. Because everybody know now that Mordecai and his people is going to die. You understand? So you're correct, no sound correct to that. You understand? Continue, Officer Shah.
Except such two whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
You understand? So a whole 30 days, there's time going on to the king. You understand? In the king's quarters, in the king's chamber, that's on the outside. You understand? And she letting him know that once the king hold all that scepter, once the king give that permission, I can't go in there. Remember that the king. So you know king, that Dan. Esther can't flex as she please, not because he's the queen. Not because you are the king, you know what I mean, in a relationship, quote unquote, as they say. Esther still can't flex as she wants. You understand? Showing that that's serious, you know, jokey king, as serious as that Dan. Because he show up in wealth, he show up in might, he show up all these things in the earlier time. You understand? And what that goes to show us for our women also. That's what I'm saying in this whole memorial, they will learn plenty. What that goes to show our women also, that they ought to have that discipline for their head as well. You understand? It must have rules and boundaries. Once the man in the house set that rule, you understand? The woman ought to follow it. You understand? As serious as he rule, hey, until me hold all this sector, or as we go break it down and say, once you get this appointment, you can't come through it. That is it. And she follow it. She's the queen. She could do as she please. You understand? But remember, as a Jew, you raised on that different banner, you raised on that different thinking, a different idea, different philosophy. Compared to these heathens. So now she knowing by it. Nah, but I'll relax. I'll take my time. Understand? And still tell Mordecai, hey, watch, I can't expect the way how I want. So which means even Mordecai can't even infiltrate the house of Assyrius by his own family. You understand? Unless they understand, as I was saying earlier, that dance, that flow. How she given a commandment and he giving one back to she. You understand? They understanding one another. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead up, Sasha. So 30 days she get to see the king and she's saying that you have to hold all that scepter or how to get an appointment to go and meet him. You understand? Go ahead, Babu Kusha.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther words. Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself.
Understand? So Mordecai saying after he hear the words of Esther, he say, hey, you just think about yourself. You understand? Ole is queen. You won't just think about yourself. Go ahead.
Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house.
Don't think about yourself. Don't feel because you're in the king's house you go escape. Go ahead.
More than all the Jews.
You understand? Don't feel because you there and we out here. The boundary set different. What Mordecai trying to tell you is what? Same thing like what Jay-Z was saying. Still, nigga. These heathens know, despite what position of power you might be holding in the king's establishment, these heathens know there is still an ego. Our people in governance right now, they don't understand when they hold that power against these other nations, with these other nations, in their kingdom, their offices and their palaces, they don't realize that there is still a nigger. They are still being watched as less. They're still being watched as a people that is nothing. You understand? Well, Officer Shah.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
You understand? So now if you hold a peace, the enlargement, it will rise from another place. You understand? It will get help from somewhere else. Go ahead.
But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
You understand? So he's saying that you and your father's house, you think that your father built. And then he didn't just say father. You think like the father's built, it will be destroyed. You understand? And then he's saying, who knows? Who knows if you come to be the queen of King Assyrius for this time? You understand? That is like when we're going out on the streets and we're hanging out flyers. Lord knows why you come out on that day, at that time, why you speak or you spoke on that topic. You understand? Why decide, hey, let me teach on this topic this day, because it may be for time. Because I remember earlier on coming to the truth, you understand? We are watching videos from men that teach 5-6 years ago. And who knows there was day for that time. You understand? I sure it have young men and young women now coming to the truth, watching the officer brother video that died. You understand? Because he's not talking his own words. He's speaking the truth according to the Bible. So he died and he gone. You understand? To renew the face of the earth again. And men still will be watching your videos and saying, yeah, but you know what I'm saying making sense. You understand? Who knows there was there for that time? Go ahead, Baba Kusha. So he's telling Esther, you understand? And who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom? Who knows why is queen for such a time as this? Because look at what happening to the Jews right now. Look what happening to the people. You understand? Imagine you have a classroom, right? With students. Men, women, children. You understand? Teachers all around. But all the teachers rebellious. Who go learn? Nobody go learn. You understand? And then sometimes some person might come and say, you know what? I'm going to learn. Who knows? The Lord maybe set you there for that time. Because deep down, nobody else want to do it. You understand? And this is the small things we just had to watch. We building a nation. You understand? Many people might watch infrastructure. We're putting in place. And whatever the case might be, yes. When we go back to the history of the Jews in Babylon to Timbuktu, we see where it had saddlers, painters of art, workers of this, that, painters, leathersmiths. It had people for all kind of things. You understand? It didn't have one people doing one thing in the nation. It had people doing multiple things. You understand? This is what we have to realize. The Lord said that with our body. The hand can say to the foot, hey, I'm not part of the body. You understand? Even the man who holding the banner at camp is part of the body. He don't want to be teaching shit. But the Lord say he is part of the body. You understand? You might be able to break down Genesis 1:1. Or you might be stuttering because he tongue heavy. Not because he's stuttering. He weak. He know nothing. He done. Lord say, examine yourself daily to see if you need faith. This is what we have to realize, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian. You understand? Mordecai telling Esther, hey, who knows? Why you come here for this time? You understand? Look at the things that the Jews going through right now. When you watch and read things like that, you understand now how the Lord is operate, how the Lord is function. You understand? Things might be happening and saying, but wait now. Right? Then you realize, nah, but that's the Lord. That's the reason why it happened. Because it's fat time. You understand? Where do I move, Sasha?
Esther chapter 4 and verse 15. Then Esther bid them return Mordecai this answer. Verse 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are.
What you say?
Go, gather all together all the Jews that are in present in Shoshan, and fast you for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also, my maidens, will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
Understand? So Esther moves selfless. Esther sit down, watch, will go fast. And if you realize the custom with our people, you understand? You listen to the things that the captains and officers above us, the generals speaking. You understand? When there's always error in the nation, we do what? Fast and pray. You understand? So that the Lord will hear our prayers and move heathens, move kings. You understand? To suit what we want for our nation. You understand? You say, you want to go fast, go on sackcloth, hey, I'm going in unto the king. Not according to the law, because the king saying that they have an appointment to meet me. When I put my scepter, well, then they can come in. If not, you'll be put to death. And Esther saying, Dan, I go in. After she see the king for 30 days, she's the queen of the kingdom. You understand? Where Baba Kusha?
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Go ahead. Verse 5, chapter 5. We gotta run trial bit because the time clicking down on we. Let me see how fast we can beat it.
Esther chapter 5 and verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day.
We have to go straight. Esther chapter 5, verse 1 to 3, and then we go jump back.
Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. Verse 2, and it was so when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
Understand? So the king see Esther. After she deck off, she don't gain favor in his sight. You understand? Remember, she had no appointment. You understand? To go and see the king. Go ahead.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter.
Once he sees she get favor in his sight. She hold out his scepter. So that means, yeah, you can come and see the king. Go ahead.
That was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Verse 3, then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be even given to thee, to the half of the kingdom.
You understand? So she approached him, touched the scepter. You understand? That goes to show also to her side of that femininity of the woman. She didn't just come and start to bloat out because she's the queen. Show that humility. You understand? She come across, touch the scepter, and then he say, all right, what's going on? Come down to verse 6.
Verse 6, and the king said unto Esther, all the banquets of the wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted to thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
Go ahead.
Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them.
You understand? So she's saying, hey, this is my petition, this is my request. Let the king and Haman come to a banquet, I go in and prepare. You understand? And if you notice how Esther spoke to the king, she didn't speak to the king like how women today will speak. You understand? She made sure and established that feminine side, if I may. You understand? So like here. Go ahead.
And I will do tomorrow as the king had said. With night, then went Haman forth that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood up not, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
You understand? So Haman get invited to the banquet. You understand? He happy, run out. But when you see Mordecai again, feeling sick. You understand? Once he now around Mordecai, good. Good to go. But once you around Mordecai, knowing that Mordecai didn't bow to him, have to establish that. Not feeling good. You understand? Go ahead.
Was said, nevertheless, Haman refrained himself. And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. Verse 11, and Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the prince.
You understand? So nevertheless, they say Haman, he restrained himself when he see Mordecai. All right, I ain't going to tell him nothing, I ain't going to do nothing, I ain't going to show him, I mean, I vex. You understand? He restrained himself, but when he go home, tell the wife. You understand? Go ahead.
And servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself. And tomorrow I invited unto her also with the king.
You understand? So what he's saying is, when Esther keeping she banquet, she don't invite nobody else with the king. But now he feeling like a lord because now she's saying, hey, you're coming into the banquet. You understand? Go ahead. He's the oldest man. Go ahead.
Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Darius his wife and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou it merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
You understand? So now Haman saying, if I go to the gate to go to the banquet and mean see Mordecai there, the thing will mean nothing. You understand? Then his wife and all his friends say, nah, go ahead now, man. Make a gallows. How much cubits high? You understand? And go before the king. Be merrily, that's what they say, before the king unto the banquet. You understand? Let me go to chapter 6. We go run through quick. And then go to chapter 7, because we have to go up to chapter 9.
On that day could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of the records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king.
You understand? So that day the king couldn't sleep, and the king said, the records, bring the records, Baba Kusha. You understand? And they were read before the king. They bring the records and start reading it before the king. Go ahead.
And it was found written that Mordecai had told Bigtanat and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlain.
You understand? So when they bring the records, in the records they found where Mordecai was told of Bigtanat and Teresh. That was the two guards at the king's gate. You understand? When they was plotting to kill the king, remember it was recorded. Go ahead.
The keepers of the door who sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus.
Right, go ahead.
And the king said, What honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this?
You understand? So he asking, what will you honor Mordecai? Will you honor Mordecai for this? You understand? Remember, my God is not trying to kill me. What will you do? Will you do anything? Go ahead.
Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, There is nothing done for him.
You understand? And they say, well, we do nothing for him. You understand? After Mordecai did that for the king, remember Mordecai is a different people. He's from a different nation. You understand? King Ahasuerus is a different people. He's a heathen. But he asked him, what do you do for Mordecai? He said, no, we didn't do nothing. Go ahead.
And the king said, Who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
You understand? So now Haman come, he don't prepare the gallows for Mordecai because you will take him out. Every time you see Mordecai, he upset, vex. You understand? You have to show the people he upset and he vex. Displeased about Mordecai for Mordecai not bowing down to him. You understand? Go ahead.
And the king's servant said unto him, Behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, Let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, What shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor?
You understand? So Haman come unto the king, and the king said, well, what's going on? Tell me what's going on now, so that I may honor you. Go ahead.
Now Haman thought in his heart, To whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
Understand? Go ahead.
And Haman answered the king, For the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear.
You understand? So he's saying, well, I is the man to honor. You understand? Let the royal apparel wear this way. Go ahead.
And the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head,
and the crown where is point up your head, set it.
And let his apparel and the horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble prince, that they may array the man with all whom the king delighted to honor.
You understand? So Haman saying, send your horse, the apparel, you understand, the crown, send it to one of your highest ranking men, the most noble. You understand? That they may do what? Array, that they may dress. Haman, go ahead.
And bring him on horseback
Mm-hmm.
through the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor.
You understand? So Haman saying, make him be known through the city. You understand? That the man who you want to honor. Go ahead.
Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
So he's saying, he tell Haman, hey, you're going to hurry up. Make haste. Take the apparel, the horse. You understand? That way say, and also do that what you want to Mordecai the Jew. The same thing that you want, do it to Mordecai. Go ahead.
That sitteth at the king's gate.
Mm-hmm.
Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
So all that you wanted for you, see that man by the gate, that man who wants Shema, that man who looking like nothing, make sure nothing in fail that you say you want for you. Go ahead.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse and the array, Mordecai, and brought him on the horseback.
So now Haman had to carry out the order. Because he's the king. The king said, let nothing lack for Mordecai. So the array Mordecai brought him on the horseback. You understand? Go ahead.
Through the streets of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor.
You understand? Because why? Mordecai was the man who the king delighted to get that honor. Because of what Mordecai did for him. Right?
And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen on him.
You understand? And Haman run. Tell your wife. Tell all your friends. You understand? What happened to him? Go ahead.
Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews.
If Mordecai be what?
If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him.
You understand? So your wife telling him down. Here we're going on. If Mordecai be the seed of the Jews, which means they understood the record of the Jews. He said, before whom you has begun to fall. He ain't going on people like that. Maybe, I just say, maybe it was a heathen, you might get true, but not the seed of the Jews. It goes to show that these other nations, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, they understand who the Jews are. They understand the power of the Jews. They understand it. Make me remember, I will read this one, right? Baba Kushak. It make me remember Jude chapter 5. Let me just, where I'm Professor Swap.
Again, that's something. Because now, why men will pick up on it?
Right.
Because now, remember, the first time he went to them. Then Sham, this is what we do.
Right.
Right. So, but the whole talk. Now, in what started happening before, now that it's like these people, remember, now they understand. If the people the laws,
Right.
then the new way we now want to be way we not believe. It's the same thing. So this is something very important.
Right.
And even in reference to the day, this is why when I talk money generally, they always keep on their activities and say, hey, do give up this for nothing.
Correct.
So that's why you should answer it.
Right.
Don't sell this for nothing. This time, even more than ever. Now, in this time, this is something we have to do.
Correct.
So that's identified. This is what we're going to use stability in these times.
Correct.
You see what happened.
Most and Christ the water for that. Understand? The right way saying this is what we have to hold on to, because where's these, when you look at the times now, for example, they're seeing all these bombings. Look like what happened recently, right now. You feel that it's time that I can't make this no more now, right? And leave to go away. Back to the Christian church, back to the Muslim mosque, back to the gangs with signs, or smoking weed, or selling drugs. Nah. Now is the time the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man have to find the truth. It will be a fight. Because Haman and Mordecai, they battled for how much years? It's going to be a fight.
So that if got the time will be in our post as well. Mention consider Iman.
Right.
Right. The only reason why that they're still alive is because that one keeps all the instructions was to what from below, from Samuel to destroy the house.
Right.
And it's all the
Right.
when that at the time, there's a history.
Yeah.
Being on top of that now, this is the only reason why, again, I'm like, still
around Musang Christ. Musang Christ for that. Go ahead.
So all that was at that time, the prophet Samuel gave orders what so much
Right.
was who had destroyed the house.
Right.
And who did not.
Right.
All that was
Gone.
so now we see the existence. In land of Israel,
Right. Okay.
small land that you see before.
Right.
Okay.
Musang Christ. And as I say that too, well, I didn't know that history, but I'm glad they say that, so I will check it out as well too. You understand? But you're right to be saying, because even when it was this same story, I tell you this, you just had to read this over and over and you understand certain things. When Esther giving Mordecai the command and Mordecai giving Esther the command, if neither of them did follow it through, then what would happen to the Jews? What would happen to us? Remember, Haman sought to kill us. You understand? So even if the order was, hey, you need to put on sackcloth and go and pray. X and X amount that time, or X and X amount that months, or whatever the case might be, have to follow it out. You understand? Look what happened with Jonah. Jonah didn't want to follow the order. Jonah did. But the Lord still preserve him to, hey, I'll go and do that. You understand what I'm saying? So when certain things pass wrong or come down, they inquire. If they feel it, yes, inquire and they execute it. You understand? And in doing it, they're going to see vast changes. They're going to see things happening. You understand? Right.
Last time was jumping ahead to the point where city conversation back and forth.
Right.
And so, again, showing that as a daughter being brought up underneath instruction.
Right.
Right. And here to them and knowing that there would be a time that they would be called as a daughter. In this case,
Right.
For that daughter coming up in that on that indirect spot. She made, about the staff.
Right.
Just do this. And again, it's like you're doing something about it.
Right.
See what they do. This is an environment, even they do DPs or reject the requests of past 3 days.
Right.
Because the understood something was taking place. Find favor to the Lord.
Right.
This is one a key point. Have favor with the Lord.
Right.
again, general holiday, get favor with the Lord.
Most time in Christ.
Get favor with the Lord.
Right.
And seek
Most
this
time
is
in Christ.
these other nations do.
Right.
When we have the when we do it, keep these instructions, what will happen? The Lord that the Father says, fight. And this is where that favor came about. But she didn't say that not living up in our parts. No. Everyone and
I'm going to follow there. I'm going to follow there again.
I did it.
Right.
I made it. I made up in the game here now.
Right.
I happy.
Right.
All the sit down, all the bricks.
Right.
She was brought up right.
Right.
In the right spirit. And know that, and again, what resonates standing out is when the that don't be this for us.
Right.
Wherever we fathers, you know, like you reminded, hey, you want to
Don't forget the culture.
don't forget,
Don't forget the history.
Don't forget.
Right.
Don't forget. So now what happened? I mean, that's like the Lord starts on within us.
Right. Right.
But still, didn't know God, but still didn't. But now understanding mindset of the nation from the Lord.
Right.
And the intent of what they desire to destroy us and to fight us from any existence that we become. Again, as a family, we were brought up to understand and know that we separated the right thing.
Right.
Like what? And in order for that to resonate in the spirit, must be told to continue.
Okay.
That's the tree and that.
Right. Okay. Most time in Christ for that. You understand? And something too, we always have to realize that every time Israel was in trouble, we cry out to the Lord, the nation. Right now, our commanding general and build schools to the four corners of the earth. We crying out to the Lord daily. You understand? We've seen whereby brothers and sisters might heal in the truth. You understand? You hear, hey, show up a prayer for this one. Do that for that one. We pray continually. What about in times of trouble? When brothers and sisters going through the roughest. You understand? When they have to face the roughest. We throw up those prayers for our brothers and sisters. You understand? You didn't think the Lord will move or the Lord will act on it. We might think it mightn't happen. You understand? But it is going to happen. Once we stay in alignment with the Most High, stay in alignment with His ways and His words, following the instructions, you understand, of how the Lord intended to be, these things is going to come to pass. You understand? This is not the Christian church. This is not the enemies and their camps, these fake Israelite groups. You understand? When the order comes down from commanding General Hannah, it's one leader we follow it. But remember, it have an order rank system coming down, right down to the last man. You understand? We still have to execute it. And in executing it, coming back up the road, we're going right back to who? That commanding General Hannah, but our King Christ. Because why? He following Christ. We following He as He follow Christ. You understand? If we want to do our own thing, open up our own religious groups, our own sects, you understand, and different things, we're not following Christ. You understand? Because then who given you the order? You understand what I say? So you're absolutely correct. You understand? Where was that, Professor Shah? With Esther chapter 13,
Finished 13.
6 and 13, you finished 13? All right. Let me just touch on the Judith Brisk Babakusha because the time right up on video, right? Judith chapter 5 and verse 17, because of course these heathens know once blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they stay in alignment with the Most High is going to fight for them. Just as just rightfully saying your swap. You understand? You don't say fight for me, he will fight for you. You understand? And we as a nation, in the IHBK under commanding General and I'm fighting for the Most High as best as we could. Some of us may get tired, you understand? But the order is Go put on your sword. Take a rest. Take a rest. Pick it up and swing again. You understand? Because we swing in until Christ come back. You understand? Jude chapter 5 and verse 17. And why is this sin? Not before their God, because of course when they read higher up in the passage, you're going to see whereby these heathens understood how Israel was separated from these nations, just like we read in the book of Esther. You understand? Haman and his people know, his wife and his friends, they understood that Mordecai was separate. And the same time, if Mordecai is a Jew, seed of a Jew. You understand? And you going around him like that? In Jude chapter 5 and verse 17. Now I was saying I will read it out now because we still have a bit more here. Start up. All right, come on. Well, anybody cool it? Jude chapter 5 and verse 17. Come on.
Come on, Salakia. Yo, Sasha, you might go on. All right, come on.
Professor Shai, still hold Jude the Esther 6 and 14, right? I think that's last time. And then we're going to move on to Esther 7. After my hold Esther 7 from about Shai.
Okay, what I'm reading?
Yeah, where am I, Maka?
Come on. The book of Judah, chapter 5 and verse 17.
We're just going on to 21, right? 17 to 21.
Come on. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the Most High that hated iniquity was with them.
You understand? And this is what we have to realize. Once we as a nation, as a people, you understand, do according to what the Most High say, the Lord is going to be with us. We are going to prosper as a nation and as a people. You understand? Go ahead. Verse 18.
Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore.
You understand? And once we depart from the way that the Lord laid for us, once we depart from what Moses gave us as a people, you understand? We're going to be destroyed sore in many battles. That is why when all these nations rose to our captivity, we was taken captives because it didn't follow what the Lord gave to us. And these heathens know that, they understand that. That is why you will see all these holidays, you understand, that was given according to the Roman calendar, not according to what the Lord gave us for our nation. You understand? And once they keep us doing that, they know the Lord will fight for us because they know we are sinning. Where Baba Kusha?
And were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
You understand? Once we departed from the way of the Lord, we was devoured. We was devoured by who? Our enemies. You understand? And when you go through back in the book of Psalms chapter 83, you see where King David cried to the Lord, speaking about our enemies. So now we have to understand who our enemies are. These nations wronged about us, they are not who you think they are. They are not our friends. The Lord tells us that we will be sold unto our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. So now if we just take our captivities into consideration, captivities that we have been in, then we're going to see, all right, these different captivities, these are our enemies. You understand? And then now you can start narrowing it down to the other nations, understanding the history, you understand, and the things that happened to us. Where Baba Kusha?
Verse 19. But now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate.
You understand? So now they do what? They return to their God. And they move from one position that they was in into another. We come up into the hill countries, which means we start coming out of the condition that we was in. Where Papa Kusha?
Now therefore, my Lord and Governor.
So the Lord, so the heathen is saying, my Lord and my Governor. You understand? My King. Go ahead.
If there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
You understand? So he's saying, Dan, let me consider this. If there be any error among the people, if you get them to sin, if you get them to celebrate Easter, birthdays, Pakwa, all them things, what these other nations following, Christmas, you understand, Valentine's Day. If you get them to do all these things, keep them in sin, then they're going to be ruined. Why are they going to be ruined? Because the Lord is not going to fight for them. They're going to go according to their way or the way of the other nations. You understand? There will be no power over them. Go ahead.
Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
You understand? That is what was happening with Haman, his wife, and his friends. That is why his wife was saying, Dan, if Mordecai be a seed of a Jew, forget that. These heathens understand that. Even in this time of holophonous, you understand? We see where these other nations know that if they have no iniquity in the nation, which means if they keep separate, if we follow the laws, commandments, and statutes and drop all the things of these other nations, you understand? The Most High, or their God, is going to defend them. You understand? And listen, how did they say that? Lest their God, their Lord, defend them. So which means they know that the God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They know that. You understand? They know their God is not the same as the gods of the Jews. You understand? And they're saying, Dan, better lead them. All right, we will become a reproach after all you. You understand? And today in 2026, don't be fooled that these other nations don't know who you are, so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. They know. They understand who you are. You understand? And their job is to make sure you keep in sin. Once you keep in sin, you're going to be in servitude under the hands of these other nations. Word of God, let's start chapter 7. Let me see the good square of this. For time's sake, Baba Pusha. Let's start 7. Let's start at verse 1.
Come on, God. The book of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Somebody hold Esther 8 and somebody hold Esther 9. Call it that.
So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee.
You understand? So they come to the banquet. Assyria is telling the queen, what will be a petition? We'll grant it here, right?
And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to half the kingdom.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. Then Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king.
You understand? So you're seeing Esther's humility, you're seeing she femininity. You understand? She needs coming about, well, here what's going on? So she ain't calling the shots. You understand? She yielded to the king. You understand? Her Lord. Go ahead.
And if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
You understand? So you're saying she was sold, you understand? To be destroyed, or was sold to be bondmen and bondwomen. She said if it wasn't so, I would have hold my tongue. You understand? Go to verse 5.
Then the king Assyrius answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he? Where is he that does presume in his heart to do so? Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is that wicked Haman.
Is that who?
Wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king.
You understand? So she said the enemy was Haman. Haman became afraid. You understand? Go ahead.
Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Go ahead.
Verse 7.
Like the same one who wanted all the to be arrayed and decked, and the king horse and the king crown sent by the nobleman. You understand? Go ahead.
Khan and the king arise from the banquet of wine in his wrath and went into the palace garden.
You understand? So he get up, he going in the palace garden. Go ahead.
And Haman stood up to make requests for his life to Esther, the queen.
So he stand up and he go on to make requests because he realized the thing that was done, he's going to die. So he's going to make requests for his life. You understand? Before Esther. Go ahead.
For he saw that there was evil determined against him.
You understand? Go ahead.
By the king.
You understand? So when he see the king, he realized the king vexed. He didn't like what's going on here right now. Go ahead.
Khan, verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
You understand? So when the king returned from the garden, he see Haman fall on the bed. You understand? Where the queen was. You understand? Because why he pleading and begging to the queen for his life. So just picture like he kneel down or he kneel over in the bed and pleading for his life. So when Haman come back, he's like, oh, what have I seen here? What are we doing here? You understand? Go ahead.
Khan. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
You understand? So he's saying, so then we're going to do force the queen in my house? Go ahead.
As the word went out of the king's mouth.
As the word went out from the king's mouth, go ahead.
They covered Haman's face.
You understand? So just picture like why the king saying that the guards at the door, he's so mad. Then realize, hey, you want shit. I'm bagging up. You understand? Because they can't be the guard by the door area and they ain't here not knowing what's going on with all that happening. They bag him up. You understand? Go ahead.
Khan and Habona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who was spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
You understand? So they declare, hey, hang him on. Because the things that was spoken of about Mordecai was good. Remember, some of the things was documented, what Mordecai did. You understand? And the king for himself read it for the day or the night when he could not sleep. You understand? So they decide, hey, the thing what Haman doing, hang him on bread.
Khan, verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai.
Hang him where?
Hang Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
You understand? So now you realizing that right which part Haman prepared the gallows for Haman, prepared the gallows for Mordecai, Salakia, Haman got hung on it. You understand? This is what we have to understand. This is what the Lord saying down wherever a man sow, shall he reap. Because he tried to sow that for Mordecai. He ended up on it. You understand? He tried to dig a ditch for Mordecai. He ended up in it. After how much years? Because when you read happening passages, see the distance that Haman went with Mordecai, trying to get rid of him. These are the things that we have to consider so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. That is why it is very important for us to come and learn our culture, learn our history, especially learn about the Lord and the wrath of the Lord, the fear of the Lord. You understand? Because once we don't understand that, we will continue with doing what we're doing. Give me verse chapter 8, Baba Kusha. Chapter 8. Give me 3. You cannot jump too quick. Give me 3, 7, and 11. I'll tell you to go from after this. We jump from verse 3, to 7 to 11. Understand? So Esther, again, using she femininity, she cries, she think, hey, pour away the mischief of Haman. Haman don't get hung. Why she say pour away the mischief from Haman, the Agagite? You understand? And he devised against the Jews because somebody going and rise up and want to continue it. Somebody go want to kill the Jews again. Remember the decree went out with the letters. The decree went out with the letters for them to die. You understand? And she now had to go and say, hey, what was outside there? Let me rewrite it. Before some minion, before some flying monkey, before somebody want to raise up and do that same thing, or hold that same spirit that Haman had. That is why the Lord said, you understand, as Officer Robert bringing out earlier on, when the Lord sent the entire city to destroy it, take nothing. You understand? Kill everything and take nothing, so that that spirit of that evil is going to die. You understand? If you don't do it, then somebody going to rise up for that spirit again to perform the same duties of Haman. Where Bible question? Yeah.
Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hung upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
You understand? So because Haman did that to the Jews, Esther get the house of Haman. You understand? What does that show? So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man. That is what the Lord said, the sins of the righteous. The sins of the sinners is laid up for the righteous. You understand? When they think they're billing going, we going to take the kingdom. You understand? This is exactly what happening here. Go ahead, Baba Kusha, verse 11.
Yeah. The Jews, the city, the garden, and the city together, and the seven of their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that will assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for prey.
Go ahead to verse 15.
Yeah. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white.
He went out where? He went out where? In what?
In the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white.
Went out. Go ahead.
With a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad.
Go ahead.
16. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor.
You understand? When that happened, the Jews, they had gladness, they had light, they had honor. You understand? Go ahead.
17. And in every province and in every city, whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews. For the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
You understand? For the fear of the Jews fell upon the people. You understand? When these things happen, the Jews get light, they get glad. You understand? Now they could joy and feast. You understand? Because now we do have somebody to do what? Rule us or wanting to slay them. We think when Haman was functioning, it was just like that. And I imagine the psychological games that take place that had these people uneasy for all these years. You understand? Little small tactics here and there. You see, pay how much talents, over $1 million, I think over $1 million to make sure that the Cree go out, to slaughter the Jews, to slaughter blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Watch how much years. Now the people could actually get arrested after Haman gone, after that spirit gone. You understand? Esther still had to come and beg the king, hey, the devices, all these trickeries, we had to get rid of it. And when that happened, now the people could be light. Now they could be glad. Now they could rejoice. Remember verse 9, Baba Kusha. Chapter 9, verse 4 to 6.
Chapter 9, verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out to all the provinces. For this man Mordecai was greater and greater. Verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter, and destruction, and did what they were unto those that hated them.
You understand? And they did unto those that hated them. We slaughter, we see, because now we as a people, we together. After what happened, after the decree, seeing that they wanted to kill the Jews, now we understand, hey, we need to be loyal to one another. We need to be right with one another. You understand? Now they could jump out and do according to the king. Go ahead, Baba Kusha.
Verse 6. And in Shushan, the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
Come down to verse 10.
The 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand.
You understand? So they slay them, but on the spoil, They didn't take it. That spirit got to go. Me ain't want nothing. You understand? Go on, verse 13.
Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hung upon the gallows.
You understand? So 10 sons will be hung upon the gallows, right? That is short Esther Boston. Go ahead.
We see that verse 14, and the king commanded it to be so done. Like it's so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan, and they had Haman's 10 sons.
Go ahead.
I'm going to put my Jews that were in Shushan, and the 14th day, also of the month of Adar, and 300 men at Shushan. But on the prayer, they laid not their hands.
Yeah, keep going up, Sam.
To 16, but the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and addressed from their enemies, and slew of their foes 70 and 5,000. But they laid not their hands on the prayer.
Go ahead.
The 17th, on the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
You understand? So after they do all that slaying on the 13th and 14th day, they rested and made what? Gladness. You understand? Go ahead, Papa Kusha.
18. For the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day.
So there's the Jews in another area, in another zone. They gathered on the 13th day. Go ahead.
And on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
So the 13th, 14th, and 15th, they rested, made a day of gladness. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled town made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting and a good day, and of spending portion one to another.
You understand? So on the 14th, these Jews in the villages, that is what they did for that day. Go ahead.
God, verse 20.
We straight down to 32, right?
God, one time wrote these things, and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both near, both nigh and far. 21. Establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, of the 15th day of the same year, of the same year. 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. 23. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai written unto them.
Right, so you can stop right there. You understand? You can stop right there. But to show you a scene whereby when Mordecai gave out this decree, that they follow it on the 13th day and the 14th day, and as we was learning from Officer Swapiala yesterday, that the 13th and 14th day, that is the which will be yesterday and today according to the calendar of the Jews, right? You understand? So this is the days of feasting, you understand, of gladness, of joy. You understand? And sending portions, or what we will call gifts to one another. This is what we're supposed to be doing. You understand? As a nation and as a people. This is who we're supposed to remember in Esther, Mordecai. You understand how they stood when these nations, this other nation, rise above them to slay them out. You understand how orders was followed, how they understood the song, knowing boy, we're going and get killed out. You understand how they prayed and fasted because of the thing that was going to happen to the nation. So even when we say we prayers after classes and camps and whatever the case might be, we prayed for these other nations to be destroyed. We don't understand the history. Well, I mean, we in the school, we understand, but people don't understand the history unless they go through it, of the things that our foreparents went through. You understand? We think, well, we just born and, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, the Bible and God and we good to go, but it's something more deeper, something more richer, something more cultural, something more of a people that we have to understand. This is something that's supposed to be in our blood. You understand? Not fighting one another with who can build structure and architecture and who will have a plan. You understand? and they don't know where they're going, and that's how the politicians and the religious leaders, that's how they is. That is how they function. Never had nothing good to say about black people. Never had nothing good to say about poor people. You understand? But again, so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, more than wearing pajamas, there's a more than heaven. That is seeing the cry of this nation. That is seeing the plead of this people. The Lord says, eyes 10 times brighter than the sun. We taking them things for kicks, them things serious. Beholding the evil and beholding the good. So now what we have to do as a people, we have to do the good. We have to do it right. You understand? Michael, give me Daniel and I will close up Bible question.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed.
Understand? And in the days of these kings, so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, you see what's going on right now today? Now we need sisters like Esther to listen, to understand, to have that mindset. Now we need brothers to understand what really taking place around us. You understand? Now we need to show our people what is happening. Because the Lord say, read it from the top again, Baba Kusha.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom.
The Lord is doing what? Setting up his kingdom, his government, his heaven. The heaven that blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians we talk about. You know, in Christianity, we want to go to heaven. The Lord setting up that government, setting up that nation. In the midst of all that we've seen happening right now with all these kings and who are power and who are rulership and who could send bombs here and kill this one and unalive that one, and the Lord doing his thing. Go ahead.
Which shall never be destroyed.
Which should do what?
Which shall never be destroyed.
This kingdom, so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, it's not going to be like China or Iran or Russia or Ukraine. It is not going to be destroyed. No internal war, no external war could destroy that kingdom. You understand? Go ahead.
And the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
And you see the things that we have went through with these other nations, the Lord is saying it is not going to be left to the other people. This kingdom is going to be ours. This kingdom is going to be where the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man dwells. The place that the Lord says he wants us to be separate and holy. You understand? Go ahead.
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms.
It shall break in pieces and do what?
Consume all these kingdoms. And it shall stand forever.
These other nations, these other kingdoms is going to be breaking pieces, but the Most High's kingdom is going to be established and it's going to be standing forever. So-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian man, now is the time that we have to seek the Lord, and we wouldn't get the Lord in the Christian church. You wouldn't get the Lord through religion. You will see and you will understand your culture, your history, your heritage through the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under commanding General Han. And again, with that, I'll pass the class on to Priest and Officer Kazawo.
Security announcements where the items indicate of one west of the street of New York and the commanded. Right? It's the truth about the Green of the Church since 1969, right? So, okay, right? Getting back to this, make sure that thing, right? New brothers and sisters and new brothers and sisters come to this school, they are offered for 6 months, they are here to ship themselves of the world. After 6 months, if the brothers and sisters are interested in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months if the brother or sister will call each other. After the 6 month period, brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is a commandment, you can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18 and verse 21, and Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Right? Means 10 the Hebrew is pronounced Ma'asher. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the church department or teacher. Respond. We will offer for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to get a common holy convocation, which is the Lord's Passover, right? Saturday, April the 4th, right, in Houston, Texas, right, this year. So all that meeting around that time to the Houston, all roads lead to Houston, right, if you can't make it, right, for those that may be closer to Trinidad and Tobago, right, the number to the school is 479-8286, or the man over the school in Trinidad, Columbia, right, you can find more about our highest holiday, which is the Lord's Passover, in the book of Exodus chapter 12, verses 1 to 51, Leviticus chapter 23, verses 4 to 5, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 to 8, and 2 Chronicles chapter 30 and verse 17. All right? Definitely want to miss something that, right? Remember, I came between brothers and I walked in between sisters to check on social media, such as ICP.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on, for ICP events and materials. Everybody wants to be a trip in the school and you start wearing on black boots, black shirts, a band of scarf, and with that beside imagine which means to stand, upon your program which means to and face the evil, power face the see the Lord pray in Hebrew. Abanaw, Shabbatimai, Madash, Ya, Shamka, How, Alakaka, Tabaa, Zaka, Ya, Misha, Wa, Ya, Smai, Kun, Wa, Kam, Ka, Wam, Slakana, Watna, Slakna, Watina, on the side once, above, or shine, Yan, Ya,
You just said it in English, oh Father, oh Father. Power, will be done. It's not temptation, patience, deliver from evil. Thank this and the power and the glory. So be it.
So, in the film, and eventually, we give the teacher one with salute, and eventually, I'm Shabbat, imagine, Barak, Yahweh,
Hashem Yahushua got the thumb.
Yahweh, start with the film, and we give sisters a quick salute, for Sister Islam, right? And online, yeah. We give sisters a quick salute, and eventually, I'm Shabbat, imagine, Barak, Yahweh, Yahweh, Smith.